I missed you guys so much. I haven't been able to stream because we've been working on the dog so much. And we're going to be working more. But as you saw, we have the API working. We have all of the different poses working. And we have a surprise for me. I promised 50K would be enough of a surprise. I don't know when that'll happen. I don't know if that'll happen. Do I have games on my phone? I honestly, no. I super don't, and I'm sorry. I've disappointed you, right? So yeah, the poses and movement are super cute. Obviously, there's still plenty of work that we have to do on the gait. If you saw the gait, then you know it's quite a little waddle. So we've got to do quite a bit of work on the gait still, but that's just training and that's just time. This is where we got it to, with only like 2 days of dedicated work on the gait. I imagine that we'll get it much better. The sound is not as crazy as it sounds. I think that it sort of creates the illusion that it's louder than it is because there are people talking in the distance. And so you get the sense that it's like much louder than people talking. Next time I'll have her say something, I'll just like play a recording so that you can hear the way that it sounds with the motors. The motors are not louder than her talking by any means. Just Jane, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. And Rex the Myth, thank you so much for the sub. Ghost, welcome. Oh yeah, gate, G-A-I-T, not G-A-T-E. But yeah, waddle waddle, Betty waddled away, waddle waddle, till the very next day, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da. What? The short status posted and a bunch of people thinking we were already delivering it. Nah. We still gotta plan that trip. I don't want to give anything away that I'm not allowed to. But there are a number of things involved in planning it with people. And I have a lot of work to do on the gate. We got work to do on the strut. Yeah, we're gonna have her going about twice as fast as she's going now, a little faster, I think. And we're gonna be working on getting the gate a little bit less silly as well. And then we should be good. Then she should be all set. Jumper, thank you so much for the prime sub. Come on! Thank you so much for the sub. What? Thank you for being me. Well, thank you. Thank you, and for being the only robotics engineer you know. You love that I can talk so fast. It's a gift. It's a gift, truly. I've never had someone say it was positive before. Usually people are just like, Ellie, stop, slow down, breathe. So we're almost there. Then I have to figure out how to pack it because we're going to be taking it as a carry-on bag, which is not as a carry-on. Oh my God, as a checked bag, which is going to be so much work to get prepared for because I've got to declare it. I've got to make sure that it's packed in super, super safe. And Lena, oh my gosh, Lena, if you guys didn't see, I did an ASMR video with Lena in my absence. I'm sure the TSA will love it. I'm sure, but much cheaper as we discussed. So that's what we're gonna do. And also then I get to hand deliver her, which I think is gonna be fun. So yeah, Lena, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. For those of you who don't know, you should check it out. It was really cute. I played Boats and Birds. We talked about a lot of things. We talked about horror. We talked about music. We talked about VTubing. We do love Lena here. That's true. I'm so glad I finally got a chance to like talk to her one-on-one and like really hang out because we're both very busy people, and so we kept kind of making plans and then being busy, and it was so nice because she's someone I really admire. I was just really grateful that I got to hang out. And I hope we hang out again soon. Arkin, thank you so much. Thank you so much, International Robot Smuggler. Yes, real. Welcome, welcome. I am so excited. I am so excited for everything, really. The fact that we have the gate here already, I think we're going to be able to get it nice, you know? And from there, we have the poses. She moves through them really well. And yeah, it's a robot dog. It was going to be loud. All of the people saying, like, why don't you just use quieter servos? It's like, okay. Why don't you find me a servo with the necessary torque that is quieter and within our price range. And if you do, I'll give you a little kiss on the forehead. Yeah. And until then, it's fine. Why don't I just tell them to shush? That's a good idea. I hadn't thought about it. Arbitrary? They're not arbitrary. I want to be clear about it. I think that people, yo, thank you, Bob Flip. I think that people don't really understand where we were when this happened. So when I offered, servos do get expensive. First of all, yeah, real. For those of you who are like, Ellie, why don't you just use BLDCs? It's like, well, it would have been about $5,000 for the actuators themselves. But when I started this project, I wasn't like a VTuber with 45,000 followers, you know? I was a VTuber with like 6,000 followers and an average viewership of 40, right? My followership had been like 2,400 the day before, right? And then we had the raid, and then everything went insane. And then I was like, yeah, less than 3,000 followers pre-raid. But then the raid happened, and then it was like a couple of weeks, and I told him that I would call some people at places and see if I could get them to lend us a dog, and they wouldn't. And so I told him that I would build him one. But Ferret Man, it's nice to see you, but I didn't have like any sense that this was gonna stay, you know? I didn't think that anyone was gonna stick around. I figured that it would work the way that raids usually work, which is to say, people show up, that's very cool, Calvin, thank you so much for the sub, and then they leave, you know? So it wasn't really an arbitrary constraint, you know? VTubing had never made me money before, really. VTubing was just kind of a thing that I did for fun. And so I couldn't afford to just like shell out $3,000 for it. It's your birthday. Aw, man. We'll have to sing to you. I had no idea, really. So I didn't want him to pay me on the off chance that I couldn't do this project because it's a pretty insane project. And I didn't want to, I didn't have the money to like toss in $3,000 for fun. Well, I wasn't unemployed at that point. That was when I still had a job. I had a job for months after the raid. But I, yeah, three per leg, 3 servos per leg. So I had no idea that people would stick around. So it wasn't like I had arbitrary cost constraints. You know, it was like I had just really met the swarm. I was just getting to know everybody. I didn't think that anybody was going to stick around. I kind of figured this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do this project. If I can build a robot as big as he wants for $3,000, that will have been a huge win. You know, that will have been really, I'll be really proud of myself. And one for the tail, but that doesn't have to be powerful. That just has to be, that can be quite small. I appreciate you all. You're so sweet. And as someone, you're so sweet. But anyway, the end result is people are like, oh, Ellie, arbitrary cost constraints. Dude, when I asked for $3,000, I didn't think I was gonna get it. I had never made even close to that much in my entire time VTubing. You know, my entire VTubing career, I want to say that I had made like $2,000. Which is a lot. I'm not, you know, ungrateful. But at that point in my VTubing career, I had made $2,000 in 2 years, you know? Well, a year and a half. I had no reason to believe that I would ever make back what I would spend on the robot, you know? Not a lot for the hours? No, sir. No, sir. So I do think it's, you know, you gotta take into account where I was when I started this project. I had no idea that any of the swarm would stick around, you know? I was pretty realistic about everything, you know? I think that now there's sort of this expectation that like, oh, if the swarm raids you, you're in and you're famous and you're a character. But that didn't really exist, you know? It was me and Cerber, and then it just kind of became this thing. But I had no idea, you know? I had no idea that I would be taken in any way. And I had no idea the amount of kindness that I would be shown. And I am still unbelievably grateful. And it's insane. Well, Minnie had sort of already been part of things, you know? Minnie goes way back. Minnie and Neuro go way back, right? So I had no idea that any of this would happen, right? I was crying the other day because I was listening to the version. Oh my gosh, Stas, thank you so much for the prime sub. I was listening to the version of We Are Gonna Be Friends that I did with Cerber, like right after I met her. And like I do kind of feel like I knew even then that we were gonna be friends. But we hadn't talked that much when we made that together. We were like, this is gonna be really cute, this is gonna be fun, this is a song we both like, let's make it. And we made it together, and like I had no idea that she was gonna become like one of my best friends ever. And like I was listening to that song again, and just like our voices for the first time we ever sang together, and like us singing like I Can Tell That We Are Gonna Be Friends. Like I was just like solidly crying. because like I could, you know? I could. I love her. But the point is just I had no idea how any of this was going to go. I had no idea I would build a robot dog. I had no idea that I would ever make that money back, and that thank you so much, MFMJ. Thank you. I had no idea about any of this. I couldn't have. It would have been really silly, I think, if I had. And I was also very determined to not insert myself, you know? I was always very cautious about, like, I don't want it to ever seem like I'm attaching myself to bigger streamers, you know? All of my friends at that point were smaller than I was, and it had been that way for a long time. Well, even before the raid. And so I was really, really afraid of seeming like I was trying to, I don't know, of anyone thinking that my intentions were anything but pure. You know what I mean? And I don't think you need to be like that, but I was just so scared of it coming off that way. And I wanted to be clear that, you know, J2 Space, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the sub. And so when people were like, "Oh, like you've gotta get yourself a collab. You gotta get yourself to know these people and all," I worked very hard against it, you know, because I didn't want to be that kind of person, you know. And it wasn't for a long time after the raid, the first time that I collabed with someone who was actually bigger than I was, because it's so pervasive in streaming. It's so pervasive in streaming. And it's something that people talk about somewhat, but it's a hard feeling, especially when you're sort of in that mid-size stage. That feeling of like, I don't know who actually wants to be friends with me and who sees me as like a step on a ladder. And I never ever wanted my friends. I never wanted the people who are now my friends, who at that point were kind of strangers, to feel that way. I never wanted to make them feel like they might be steps on a ladder for me. I did not anticipate growth, genuinely.